And we're done with green.
Excellent.
Red.
R.
Bloodstone Goblin, 1R, 2/2. Whenever you cast a spell, if it was kicked, this gains +1/+1 and menace until end of turn. Legit, limited card. Probably going to be a high pick in red.
Sure.
Probably not constructible.
No.
Probably not, but I mean...
Unless there's some really busted stuff that's cheap to kick.
That's very fair. Yeah.
It's not even just the kick. I mean, it is a 1 red and a 1 colorless 2/2 for red, and it's a goblin. We have goblin war chief.
Ooh, yeah, goblins are a thing. That's worth mentioning.
So goblins are a thing. So like at 1 red 2/2 haste, I mean that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
So it's not the best card, but this is one I could see seeing constructed play just for its creature type.
Yep, definitely. Champion of the Flame, 1R for a 1/1 trample. Champion of the Flame gets +2/+2 for each aura and equipment attached to it.
It is certainly interesting ability.
It's begging to be built around.
Yes.
It's kind of a throwback to the Flanken Zealot. Or not Flanken Zealot. What's the one from Guild Pack? It's like a 3 mana 2/2. You put enchantments on it, and it got huge.
I don't know.
I don't either.
Well,
Soapy Boy asks, are warriors a thing?
Greg Gosh knows what I'm talking about.
Flimkin Zealot is the 1RRW 2/2 that gives everything +1/+1 in haste, that like Dredge played to combo kill.
Yeah, that's Flanken Zealot. It's Flanken something. I don't remember exactly what it is, but basically we have something similar to this to throw back to, but this card's cheaper, and if there's good 3 mana enchantments, this could definitely be something like if there's an elephant guy. This could be something that we want, or we could think of it like the what's it called, Invisible Stalker, like almost like an Invisible Stalker build around.
Yeah, well, it's kind of the inverse of Invisible Stalker, right? It's more like a core Spirit Dancer, right?
Okay,
they can kill it, so you have to make sure that you're getting value on it, which is harder to do. But the upside of if they don't kill it is that your thing is way bigger. Flaring Flamekin, Greg says.
Thank you. Yeah, that's it. Flaring Flamekin.
I bet people will try and build around this in standard and modern. I don't know how successful it's going to be, but it's begging to be built around, that's for sure.
For sure.
And it's also going to lead to a lot of Invisible Stalker type wins in Limited. Like, they'll just play this, equip it on 3, equip it again on 4, and you don't have your hard removal spell and die.
Yep.
Fervent Strike, R, instant. Target creature gets +1/+0 and gains first strike and haste until end of turn. This card is very good for limited and unconstructable. Done?
Yeah, I mean, they added haste to the flurry of this card that's been printed before.
Yeah, that card was already quite good, and the add of haste does nothing to hurt it.
Yep.
Fiery Intervention, 4R. Choose 1. Deal 5 damage to target creature or destroy target artifact.
Just could have said...
Sorry?
I was going to say, they could have said choose 1 or both, and this card still would not be.
Yeah, that wouldn't move the meter at all. Yeah, definitely just a limited removal spell. It's going to be like an early to middling pick that you usually play.
Yeah, your pinpoint avalanche type of effect.
Fight with Fire, 2R sorcery. Fight with Fire deals 5 damage to target creature. If this spell is kicked, which is 5R additional, it deals 10 damage divided as you choose among any number of targets instead.
Ah, the old Urza's Rage callback.
Right. But instead of just killing them, you Plague Win them. Oh,
well,
I think you can do either.
Yeah, so the 10 damage one is any number of targets. Now that they've changed that, obviously they put the reminder text on this set, which I think is a very good idea.
Oh, absolutely. When you change a rule that huge.
Yeah, obviously I like what they did, that they made it 5 damage to target creature because it allows you to just kind of deal with the pesky stuff that is going to pass the Glorybringer Chandra test. And it still gives you a red card to deal with those cards, which I do like, with the ability to obviously either Plague Wind your opponent, or like kill their Planeswalker and 5 them or something, or like kill a creature, kill a Planeswalker for 100 mana. You know, so I think this is definitely at least versatile enough to where I would consider looking at it as you know, a card to potentially play with. It is a lot of mana though.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely playing this in limited, and it's going to be one of the better cards in your deck.
Absolutely.
Because its front face is just very good, and then if you ever get to the back, you win the game.
Yeah. I mean,
but I don't think
like Avada Kedavra your opponent.
Yeah, it's not super likely to break through into constructed, but it's not impossible.
I am very similar minded on that. I think.
Fire Elemental. We've seen this before. 3RR for a 5/4. No words, just a Jay Ballard quote.
Yep,
not much
like
to say about
good
this. Yeah, I'm glad they got rid of the weird, like, sexy lady art. That was very off-putting and strange. Fire Fist Adept, 4R, 3/3 human wizard. Wizards is a thing, by the way.
Yes.
When Fire Fist Adept enters the battlefield, it deals X damage to target creature an opponent controls, where X is the number of wizards you control. So it always deals at least 1, unless they kill it in response.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
as it scales, it becomes better.
So, I guess if there's some cheap wizards, like some 2-drop, 3-drop wizards, and I think, is it blue-red? Blue-red is wizards, obviously.
Yes.
So, I mean, you know, the better the 2 and 3 drops get, the better this card gets, but I think it's probably just good. I mean,
you're picking it high and always playing it in limited.
Yep.
And I don't think
leaving it at home for your PvPQ.
Yeah. The first eruption, a saga for 2R. ETB, the first eruption deals 1 damage to each creature without flying. And then, as Gindi pointed out, this is in your main phase. 2 is add RR to your pool. They don't say to your pool on cards anymore. That's another change for this set. And then the turn after, you sacrifice a mountain. This isn't a May. This just happens. Sack a mountain. If you do, the first eruption deals 3 damage to each creature. So the idea is you kill the small stuff, play something huge, then kill the medium stuff. And all that's left is your huge thing.
Yeah, that sounds like a great, you know, ideal scenario.
The art is very reminiscent of Magma Burst as well.
Yeah, I like that. That art actually just looks like some of the very old art from Magic.
Yeah, totally.
I like that a lot. I like it a lot.
Like Invasion and earlier.
No,
yes, absolutely.
It almost looks like, you know, Alpha to Antiquities, like you know, like,
and the dragons, yeah.
Yeah, the dragons, the art, the mountain, and the eruption itself.
Yeah,
really
just compare this to this, and see how different art styles they are.
Yeah, one's great and one is basically done by a computer.
Sick burns, dude. I don't know if this thing's good. If a token deck is good in standard, then it'll be a good sideboard card.
Nice
and
saplings.
If you're doing something real good with RR on 4, what's 6?
That's what I was trying to think.
Because this doesn't help you with Chandra or Glorybringer. I guess you could play a Chandra, use its mana ability, and play a 4.
You could ramp to the Immortal Sun.
Immortal Sun, sure.
Immortal Sun.
That's a 6
so I like what you're doing there. So if you play this thing, Tremor, then on turn 4 you play Chandra, add 2 more mana, play a Flame World Phoenix or whatever this Phoenix is called.
Rekindling.
Rekindling.
I mean,
sorry.
I'm just all about playing turn 4 the Immortal Sun, man. Like, not only does
that's going to win a lot of games.
Yeah, playing that on turn 4 will win a lot of games.
As it turns out, yes.
But if they just counter it, and then, like, you lose a land and this card that didn't do anything against their creatureless deck, that's not going to be great.
Yeah, I don't see this one making a huge impact.
I don't think you can really, like, main deck it. I think it's a sideboard card that you just
Yeah.
you find a use for the second, but you're playing it for 1 and 3.
Sure.
The Flame of Keld, another saga for 1R. 1.
Oh,
Discard
what?
your hand.
Pass.
2. Draw 2 cards. 3. If a red source you control would deal damage to a permanent or player this turn, it deals that much damage plus 2 to that permanent or player instead. Short version is pass.
Yep.
Long version is pass.
All right, moving on.
I bet somebody will find something cute to do with it, but its rate is just terrible. Frigid
Yeah,
Rage. Sorry, go.
Maybe if level 2 said like draw 3 cards.
Yeah.
I could see playing this type of card in like some of the like most aggressive limited decks I've had or whatever.
Sure. It kind of feels like a Kulfner's Plans type thing. Like it's like the last thing you do, and it's pretty good.
Yeah.
What,
Yeah.
what was that? Dangerous Wager.
Yeah, Dangerous Wager. Yeah, that's probably how this is going to be used. And
Fair.
an extension of that will be like in like a hyper red aggro deck, it's a 1-of. Because you never want to draw 2, but eventually you want to draw 1.
So,
Frigid Rage. 1R Aura. Enchanted creature gets +2/+1 and Menace.
Oh, so this goes on the 2-drop guy.
So yeah, this is a lick and stick with the Champion of Flame. Put those both in your opener, and you're looking pretty good.
Yeah, you're attacking with a 6/5 trampling menace creature on turn 3. That sounds reasonable.
Both of these cards and the way they interact is very Boss Red.
Yes.
Remember Boss Red with a Crowan
Yeah.
Crusader and
Yeah, Chroma Crusader.
Flamekin Hoplite or whatever that thing was?
Oh man, what's that card called? But yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I remember the card. At least
the
you know.
Crowan Crusader.
Yeah. Obviously, we remember that. When I was trying to think of those 1-mana enchantments that you just stuck on it.
Oh, Dragon Man.
Dragon Mantle. Thank you. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I definitely agree. This kind of just seems like, you know.
And depending on how limited goes, these effects range from completely unplayable to actually quite good.
Well, Menace has proven itself to just be a very good mechanic as far
Yes.
as like invasion goes. So, don't sleep on this card. Like, it's either
Yes.
going to be very good in this limited format. My guess is it's going to be good against like 3 of the colors, and then like judging green so far, it's like going to be bad against the green decks with all their tokens.
Yeah.
But like probably really good against like the white decks if they're like super defensive. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, somebody in the chat said this is no madcap skills. Yeah, I mean it basically is madcap skills, right? Like
It
instead
is
of
basically,
+3, it does +2/+1, which
but
has
it is no mad cap.
is mostly disadvantage, but also has its own advantage. And madcap skills saw plenty of play in limited and constructed. So
That was kind of a product of its environment too.
oh, very much so. But I mean, auras by definition are going to be. Get to Chronicler, 1R for a 1/3 wizard. Kicker 3R, so for 6 total. ETB, if it's kicked, return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. Archaeomancer. Split card, Lumigrid Warden, Chrono Savant. No, not Chrono Savant. Is it Chronicler?
Yeah, is it Chronic or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, if we're in the looking for some kind of is it Chronarch type of effect, like we have a good bolt, then sure, like sign me up for as many of this card as I can get. It is a
Yep.
wizard,
Yep.
and there, so it's
High
got
toughness
like
wizard.
that. Yeah, that it's got that upside of being a wizard, and Generally, I'm thinking if I'm gonna have wizards in my deck, I'm probably gonna have some instances of sorceries. So
Yep.
this could be a reasonably high pick if the format ends up being slow enough.
No, I think it is a reasonably high pick. I think you don't take it over the removal that you would want to get back, but after that, you probably take this next.
Right, I was gonna say even if it is fast and people are just playing a bunch of 2/2s,
Then your
it's
1/3 is good.
yeah, then your 1/3
Yeah.
is good. So,
So this card
Especially
is
with
and
get
being
2 Journey
pretty good.
Mage, 2R for a 3/2 wizard. ETB, if you control another wizard, deal 2 to each opponent. So if you want
Venom.
like a sort of aggro wizard curve where you're like looking to burn them out, you can do something like this. Or
I'm
this
glad they
can
put all
just
these
be a
cards together.
placeholder wizard to make your other thing deal more damage.
yeah. I'm just glad they put them all together so that I don't have to
It
try
is
to figure this
convenient.
out. It's like, here, play all these cards together.
Like, I do
One.
think that Journey Mage is going to be, like, kind of fillerish, whereas Chronicler is something you actively want.
Yeah, I think if the tribal don't, if the tribal abilities don't matter as much in this set as they have, kind of previously or whatever, if we're just getting out of the pirate dinos, vampires
Yeah.
type thing. So if you can get away with, not like a blue-red non-wizard deck or something like that. Obviously, we're not into blue whatsoever, but yeah, I think I agree with you. I would want Chronicler even if it was like not a blue-red wizard deck. If it was just like my red-white aggro deck or something like that that had some amount of removal spells.
Greg pointed out getting back the 2R deal 5R kicker thing. Like, you can play that front side if you know you have this in your deck.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Without batting an eye at missed value, because you can kick it later. Get Lava Runner. 1/2 for 1, as long as there are 2 or more instant or sorcery cards in your graveyard. Get Lava Runner gets +1/+0 and has haste.
That's a one-mana wizard. That's probably a thing to pay attention
Yeah,
to.
you're just looking at tribal things for this, unless you're building like a weird boss red deck or like a blue-red hyper aggro deck, but not too excited about it.
Nope.
Goblin Barrage, 3R, sorcery. Deal 4 damage to target creature, or you can kick it, sack an artifact or goblin. If the spell is kicked, it also deals 4 damage to target player or planeswalker, which is mechanically how it used to work anyway, but now you just target it directly.
So this feels like fodder launch.
It's straight up fodder launch. Like, instead of being
Almost.
Yeah. Instead of like mandatory sacrifice up front, you get to choose whether you want a Searing Blaze then.
Yep.
Yeah. Fodder launch also was -5, -5, and dealt 5.
Yes.
So it's like slightly, but we get the ability to sack an artifact as compared to just a goblin. And
I'm trying to think
you
of the
don't
art.
have
There's
to,
not
like,
many like artifacts that I would be happy to sacrifice.
a treasure.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and if goblins is a thing, like Goblin Grenade is one of the best cards in the decks that it is in,
Oh yeah, for sure.
Chain Whirler. So here's the CCC for red. That's inexplicably not a legend. I say inexplicably. The reason is because they want you to play with 4 of them in your red deck.
Yes.
Goblin Chain Whirler. RRR for a 3/3 first striking goblin. When it ETBs, deals 1 damage to each opponent and each creature and planeswalker they control.
Yeah, just hyper efficient.
Yeah, I mean, it's if 1 damage is good, then this card's unbelievable, and if it's not, it's horrible. This is like an ace or deuce type card. Probably relegating it to the sideboard, but I guess if you're playing like a mono red goblins deck, you don't really have the luxury of not putting this in your deck.
Yeah, that's definitely fair. I mean, as you were saying, if Tremor is good, this card is unbelievably good. I think I'm still going to err on the side of like these like color cards are probably going to get played at some point. I think I might be able to agree with you that it's not immediate.
I think this thing's way better than the green one for what it's worth. I just think that it's
Sure.
you're only playing this in a Goblin deck or the sideboard. Goblin deck, you're playing in a Goblin deck out of necessity because you just don't have enough playable Goblins, and it's like fine. But outside of that, like, and I guess unless you're mono red, you would rather play the Saga that deals 1 and then adds mana and then deals 3 over this in the board.
Potentially, yeah.
Meh. Unimpressed. But I guess if we go on and mono red Goblins is a thing and this effect is good in it, then sure. War Chief, we know this one. 1 RR for a 2/2 haste. It has haste. It gives all Goblins haste, and Goblin spells you cast cost 1 less.
Yep.
This card is historically very good. So much so that it was a defining card in Legacy for years.
Yeah, quite some time.
We know mana elves are good. Cost reduction is good.
Yep.
Haste is good.
Yeah, Fires of Yavimaya is good.
All of these things add up to just a card that is costed way more efficiently than it should be. This finished cost at least.
Yep. And I know that we have Siege Gang Commander coming up too, which is a nice little 1-2 punch.
Wonderful.
By 1-2 punch, I mean 3-4 punch. Haphazard Bombardment, 5R enchantment. It's weird that they have enchantments that are just stand-in play enchantments that aren't sagas. Like that they have both.
Yes.
When Haphazard Bombardment enters the battlefield, choose 4 non-enchantment permanents you don't control and put an aim counter on each of them. So this is Wild Swing.
God, I'm already off this card.
At the beginning of your end step, if 2 or more permanents you don't control have an aim counter on them, destroy 1 of those permanents at random. Yeah, so it's a double Wild Swing type card.
Well, you're gonna get killed 3 things, right?
Yeah, eventually.
It's just gonna take 5 turns, and you might not get to destroy the thing you want to destroy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems super weird. Maybe it's somehow good and limited. I mean,
I think
it actually probably is good and limited. Wild Swing was good and limited.
Yeah,
sure.
But Wild Swing you could like abuse the stack. You can't really do that with this as much. With Wild Swing you would like target 2 things and 1 of your own things, and then sacrifice your own thing to something else.
that seems reasonable.
It's weird that it says non-enchantment permanents.
Red can't touch enchantments ever. That's
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
hard, fast rule of Color Pie.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's definitely a Wizards thing.
Yeah, red
Wild-
can never ever touch enchantments.
Wild Swing can hit enchantments, right?
Yeah. There was also a giant that did it, right? There was a giant that like tap, choose 2 of their things, 1 of your things. Destroy 1 of them at random.
I don't think that was a giant, but
No, I think it was a rare, big rare creature, big rare red creature that totally did that. Tyrant of Discord, that might be it. So the real use for this card that I got distracted on saying is just kill 3 lands over 3 turns.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like
I wasn't aware that Conley Woods was on the line.
Exactly. you ramp into your like demolish into acidic slime into this thing, and it kills a land right away, and then over the next 2 turns it kills more lands.
Yeah, all right. Someone ring him up. Tell him we got.
Tell him he's back, baby.
Yeah. Just wait for that Stone Rain reprint, and then we will see the resurgence of a Conley Woods with 200 less pounds or whatever.
I can't wait. Tyrant of Discord. It's an elemental. Oh, it's an No. There's one that taps also, isn't there? This isn't the card I was thinking of, but it also has a similar effect. Jaya Ballard. Jaya Ballard. How do you pronounce it?
Sure.
I have the Chicago, like, Jaya Ballard. That's,
Pretty sure it's giant.
yeah,
I mean, how about
I think so
Jay
too.
and Baller?
Jay?
A baller.
Oh, baller.
Yeah, Jay, a baller. The D is silent, obviously.
2 RRR for a 5-mana Planeswalker. Plus 1, add RRR. Spend this mana only on instants and sorceries. Plus 1, discard up to 3 cards, then draw that many cards. Ultimate is -8. You get an emblem with, you may cast instant and sorcery cards from your graveyard. If a card cast this way would be put into your graveyard, exile it instead. All of your things in your graveyard for the rest of the game have flashback.
Neat.
Slow under. Capricious Efreet. Is that what I'm thinking of?
So, I think this Planeswalker has to be in a very specific deck, right? Like, you can't play this in your, red-green ramp deck. You can't play this in your Goblins deck. You can't play this, like, in your normal red aggro decks or whatever. This has to be, like, a very spell-heavy, want to be doing things like, something along the lines of, like, a Storm deck, but this is way too expensive for a Storm deck. But you need those kinds of cards in your deck to consider this kind of Planeswalker. It breaks some of the rules we were discussing last time, where like it doesn't protect itself, it doesn't.
Well,
really
it almost does, right? It's plus add
kinda.
mana is pretty close to protecting itself.
Yeah, kind of. But I mean, what are you gonna do? Play your Chain Slinger or whatever?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can't even do that. Jesus. All right.
No, you just you play your 3-mana deal 5 and kill a thing.
What you're really supposed to do is play your 3-mana Sweltering Suns, wipe the board after you
Yeah,
play it.
exactly. You do something like that, and like you don't have to wipe their board either. Like you don't have to protect it fully because on playing it and playing a removal spell, it's already at 6, right? So if you kill one of their 2 guys, she still lives.
Yeah, no, I get it. I just think that having to do that, like, repeatedly is going to be a thing.
Well, no, I mean, you do it once, and then you use the second ability and hope to draw enough stuff to kill stuff.
Yeah, hope. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, obviously, if you have that kind of deck and you get to the ultimate, then the ultimate is just, asinine or whatever.
Yeah,
You just win
the
game.
ultimate is game winning.
Yeah.
The plus also makes me think of kicker cards, like the turn after, when you have your 5 untap mana and your land drop and +3, you can kick that.
Oh, sure.
Huge
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. Yeah, you can kick the Urza's Rage cards or whatever.
Yeah, that seems worthwhile, a worthwhile play pattern. But I think it's good. So there's always these like red-black or red-white or Mardu mid-range control decks that just aren't quite competitive. They're always like the tier 2, maybe even worse, tier 3, because they can never match the card draw of the blue-based control decks. And they always try and play cards like this, and it's always almost enough, but not quite.
Right.
And I feel like this just is the same thing again.
Yeah, I can't tell you how on board I would be with this card if the middle ability said draw that many +1.
Yeah.
I would be super on board with this card. I think.
That would be the difference maker.
Yeah, because, obviously with this you are not getting any advantage, you're just getting quality.
Right.
Which is fine. But I think I agree with you.
But like the way that you make use of like looting and rummaging type effects is by having a glut of cards that you can then exchange for better stuff, right? Because if you have 1 card in hand, discarding it for another card is not good. If you have 4 cards in hand and they're all useful spells, it's not good either. You need 7 cards in hand where 3 or 4 of them are land and 3 of them are spells. Then this ability becomes amazing, right?
Yep.
And the only way to get to that point is to have card draw, like raw card draw, which you have to be blue for. Like, if you could do Mardu with, like, Painful Truths and stuff into this, like, maybe you could make it happen, but with RRR and the way that, the power level is these days. Like, I think it's just going to come up short.
Sure. Yeah.
Gindy, any thoughts?
I mean, it's a 5-mana planeswalker. It does have 6 loyalty, so like it has a little bit of upside, but like it's in a very competitive slot. It has triple red in the mana cost. It's not protecting itself. We're not really, like you guys said, we're not getting ahead in cards. We're just rummaging. The instant, like, adding the extra mana is nice to protect itself the turn it comes into play, but then, like, what are we doing with the extra mana past that?
Kicking Urza's Rage.
Yup.
That's good.
Tenya.
But, like
Fight with Fire. That's actually a good name. We should remember that one.
Her negative 8 is insane, like her ultimate.
Yeah, that's game winning for sure.
Yeah, it just wins the game. But, like,
here's something to do with the mana.
It doesn't feel that.
Jaya's Immolating Inferno. Almost said that backwards. XRR, Legendary Sorcery. Deal X damage to each of up to 3 targets. Kill your creature and your planeswalker and deal 4 to you. Or
very Bonfire-esque.
Yeah, more likely it's going to be like deal 2 to all 3 of your small creatures. It's probably
right. I was going to say this is going to definitely be a 4 or 5 mana card, and if it gets beyond that, then it's just.
Well, the way that it gets beyond that is you have Jaya.
Right, sure. I mean, but if it gets to the point where even in a limited game or whatever, like all these 4 and 5 drop, all these 5-drop legends, and then you just untap and play a 6 mana for like for your guy. Like, holy shit, that's not cool.
Yeah, I mean it's like the fact that
we've
it's
all
not
played Shower of Calls.
Yeah. Cone of Flame, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
All these cards are like unbelievably busted, and for that reason, and it being a legendary sorcery, I guess it can't be a mythic because it's part of a cycle of rares. But this card feels like it should be mythic for limited's sake. But I guess the legendary sorcery is enough of a drawback.
Yeah, basically.
But like, if you find out that they have this in their deck, like game 2, you're just screwed because you have to kill every single legend they play. Past turn 5, because they'll just kill you if they get to untap. Yep. Keldon Overseer, 2R for a 3/1 haste. Human Warrior. Kicker, 3R, 7 total. ETB, if it was kicked, gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap that creature, gains haste until end of turn. This is threaten. It's an Eldrazi Obligator.
Yep.
Eldrazi Obligator is a standard and modern player. It's a legitimate Magic card.
Yeah, this card costs like 100 more mana.
That said, this costs 2 more on the face, and with Eldrazi lands, even more than that.
Sure.
This costs 3 mana total. I mean, the front side is only 1 mana cheaper, but the back side is like 2 or 3 mana cheaper.
I mean, it's important to point out Eldrazi Obligators are rare, and this is common.
Yes.
So, like,
common, wow.
Yeah, it's common. So, like, it's a 3 mana 3/1 haste, which is the same rate you're getting for Eldrazi Obligator. It's only 2 mana more for the kicker comparatively, whereas, kicker and the other one's a cast trigger. Obviously, that's going to be much better.
Doesn't matter that much.
Right. No, unlimited doesn't matter. But being a common, like, this card could easily, like, the first one you cast on turn 3 and just get him for 3 damage.
Yeah, and then still have 2 more later.
Yeah, and just, like, kill them later very easily with, like... This reminds me of, what was that card? The one from, I want to say Dark Ascension. It was like a 4/4 vampire that cost 5 that tapped 2 creatures.
What?
Yeah, no idea.
Just like anything that basically makes it so they can't block for a turn, like Blair Wielder or whatever. Blair Wielder is a good
blinding beam.
Where, like, yeah,
sure.
It's just gonna kill somebody, like people out of nowhere. You're gonna be able to deal like an extra 6 to 7 damage out of what essentially they thought was a block.
Yeah, this thing's gonna be real. This thing's gonna be like a
Mark
lot
off world.
of the subject of a lot of quote bad beat stories.
Oh, absolutely. Like,
Yeah,
he drew his fucking Keldon Overseer.
I'd already killed one.
Yeah.
Yeah, as Greg says, punishes people that come back after a year of not playing and don't know the set. Yep.
Yeah. Also, yeah, I mean, yeah, thought it was an uncommon. I think we all thought it was an uncommon, mostly
Yep,
because
for
of
sure.
these damn symbols.
Yeah, they don't help. And, I mean, this effect going from rare to common from Eldrazi Obligator is also a pretty big jump. 2 RR for Keldon Raider. When it enters the battlefield, you may discard a card if you do draw a card. 4/3.
Cool.
Super solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, just solid all around. You can filter if you want. If not, still just 4/3 for 4. I mean,
Sucks it's not a wizard.
Yeah, it does suck it's not a wizard. I mean, we've played 4 mana 4/3s for 4 before, so I can
happily.
see this. Yeah, this is definitely something I'd put in my decks.
Yep. Keldon Warcaller, Grizzly Bear. Whenever it attacks, put a lore counter on target saga you control. So the way the sagas work is you put the counter on them at the point, and then it triggers the thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it happens as soon as the lore counter goes on it. It is a trigger.
right. So if you play this, you put a counter on it and discard your hand, then you can attack with this, immediately go to 2 and draw 2 cards.
Neat.
So that's good, right?
Yeah.
I mean, not
Yeah, I
with
think-
that one in particular, but like the ones that are like I saw one of the white ones that's like, I think it's 1 dub, put a 2/2 knight into play for 1 and 2, and then 3 is like your knights get +2/+2 in Vig or whatever.
Oh, it seems like a sweet combo, yeah.
Yeah, so you go this thing on 2, that thing on 3, make 2 knights immediately, and then they ult the next turn and you're attacking
overrun.
for 10.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
definitely
that-
interesting.
That knight making enchantment, I think, is a mythic. But yeah, you're right. They're basically
Well, I'm talking about
are,
constructed. Like, that's constructed worthy.
Yeah.
Because the
fair.
sagas are hard to interact with.
Yes. I definitely agree with that.
Like, they're cheap and hard to kill. And like, even if you kill them, even if you have, like, a disenchant, unless you counter it, even if you have a disenchant, they get 1 ability off. So they get a 2/2, and then you 1-for-1 them. They're ahead, right? Clearly, they can interact with this more easily, but it's like kind of a super high upside type of line. But I don't know. It seems like something that is worth trying to build around. It kind of feels like a Goblin Lackey or like a Warren Instigator, where like you're never gonna get to hit with it, but the one time you do, you just go off and they just die.
Get them good, yeah.
Yeah. So this card is something I would think about for all the sagas we see here on out.
Yeah.
Okay.
1R Orcish Vandal for a 1/1 Orc Warrior. Tap, sack an artifact, shock. Solid. Again, there's not a ton of artifacts that I really want to be throwing away in this set in Limited.
Yeah, I think we talked about this. There was something else, right? With, the removal spell where you sack an artifact or a goblin, and we kind of just agreed there wasn't really, like, binnable artifacts or whatever.
Yeah, there's no Ichor Wellsprings and stuff.
Yeah.
Radiating
No, I said-
Lightning. Sorry?
I was gonna say that there's not any like Ichor Wellsprings or anything like that, but it is worth noting for like constructive purposes that there's treasure makers.
For sure.
So like this could be something that kind of sees play in constructive at some point. It's built around.
I think for a constructed thing, it would have to be a repeatable effect, not a tap effect.
Agree, yeah. The tap, I think, is going to keep it from being too great.
Yeah.
Sure.
Radiating Lightning. 3R instant. Deal 3 damage to the target player and 1 damage to each creature that player controls. They are really scared of tokens being oppressive.
Right.
Because they have
yeah,
a
lots
million
of
tremor effects.
A million tremors, yeah.
I don't know, this doesn't seem good. It seems worse than all the other tremors. Good night, Greg.
See you, Greg.
Good night, Greg.
I don't even know if you want to really play this in limited.
Probably not.
It's like a sideboard card in limited.
Necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, I'm snapping this in against the Sapperling green deck or whatever that I'm
Yeah.
going to play against.
But I'm not taking it, you know, higher than 10th.
Yeah, for sure. You wheel this one. Happy to put it in your sideboard just in case, but
Yeah.
pretty much disregard until there's nothing else for you there.
Rampaging Cyclops, 3R, 4/4, gets -2, -0 as long as there are 2 or more creatures blocking it. I fucking love this design. Holy shit, do I love this design.
It is kind of funny, yeah.
It is cute. It is real cute.
It's a thinker, that's for sure.
It's like it feels like it's like a Zelda card, Zelda magic card, you know,
Okay, yeah.
or like or D&D type card.
Yeah, you almost wonder how good this card would be if he had 2 eyes.
Yeah, I don't know, probably fine and limited.
Yeah, decent limited card. Not going to see any constructed play, but definitely something that I'm going to be putting in a lot of limited decks.
It's
Sure.
It plays great with Menace, where like the
Menace enchantment, yeah.
You run your blockers thin, or you just play it straight on this, and so like if you're doing that blitz style, then those 1 damage effects become really good. The tremor effects become really good because all you care about is number of bodies and cutting those down at all costs. So that might be a theme, a hidden
that's
theme.
fair.
This
Very
art
fair,
is also
very fair.
much more of the old school style. which
Yeah, I
appreciate
do.
as well.
Right, yeah, I've noticed a couple. I haven't really mentioned it, but since that saga, but I do like that they're throwing back to some of the old style. It makes me real happy. I was one of the very anti-proponent. Like, I mean, dear God, man, I was so upset when I opened a pack of Mirrodin or 8th or whatever. Like in that time period, it just like made me sad as a person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Run amok. 1R instant. Target attacking creature gets +3/+3 and trample till end of turn. A lot of people are going to die to this, too.
Yup.
A lot of people dying to red-green dinos. Just getting, like, 9'd.
Yeah, I mean, I think you pretty much summed it up there. There's going to be people dying and limited to this card.
It's a great double spell on, like, 4 or 5.
That's very true, yeah.
Like, they play the 3-drop, you attack your 2 into it, and then play this and a 2 on 4.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds fine.
Like, the win case for this card, the success case, is either, like, dome them for 7, you know, if that's lethal, and if it's not lethal, then it's merely, like, Searing Blood, right? You eat their creature and deal them a couple of damage.
Yeah. Yep.
Seismic Shift.
Definitely agree.
3R. Destroy target land. Up to 2 target creatures can't block this turn.
I have 2 words. Conley Woods.
all we're missing is that stone ring. We can bridge all the way up to that 6-mana
We are
enchantment.
almost there. I'm telling you. Like,
So,
I mean,
So the
We're
clear
almost
reason to
there.
play. So the clear reason to play this card is the up to target creatures can't block.
Yes.
Line of text.
Which goes in that like menace style.
yes. Rampaging
Run
Cyclops deck.
their blockers thin.
Yeah. So this will clearly be like something you might not think that you want to be playing, but you probably would want to play at least one of these. Like if there are utility lands, sure, free upside, but like just having this type of effect.
Well, even if they're like 5-color green control, like
Well, I mean,
you get
we
to
do
hit
also...
one of their splash colors and get through their horn turtles for a turn.
We do also know that there are utility lands. You know, we did look at those, the memorials.
True.
Oh yeah, fair.
Are those common or uncommon?
I believe it's an uncommon cycle, but I mean, it's perfectly fine to like, you know, what would be the equivalent of like killing 2 1/1s and making 2 other creatures not block this turn.
Yeah.
So,
For sure.
I think I do agree with Gendy though. You probably just want to have one in your draft deck and move on.
Yeah.
Shivan Fire, which is burst lightning but only hits creatures.
Ugh.
Okay. So great limited card, terrible constructed card.
I mean, playable constructed card, but
Yeah, well, we had Madness Spray, so like we're never playing.
And actual shock and
yeah, but like, I mean, you can see a world where, I mean, burst lightning saw a ton of play where, like, planeswalkers weren't a huge factor, right? It was killing creatures a vast majority of the time.
Yeah, but first lightning can hit players and like.
Yeah.
I know, but it was like almost never used for that. Like, if this card was printed instead of burst lightning, it still would have been played in half of those decks. Like, it wouldn't have been played in the red aggro decks, but it would have been played in the decks that were using red to kill the aggro's creatures.
Sure.
It kills Glorybringer at mana parity at instant speed. It kills Elf. It kills Elf and isn't dead late like Spray is.
I would be way more on board with this card now that they've made this change to targets. I would have been way more on board if it said target creature or planeswalker.
Yeah, obviously.
It feels like that. I feel like that's going to be a piece that they should probably examine more.
But I think
like,
the fact that it's obvious that we would be super interested in this card if it said planeswalker means we should look at it more for what it is. I think it'll be
yeah. I do agree that because Llanowar Elf exists, you will play this card. But we were
especially
just kind of
post-rotation when the power level goes down, hopefully.
I would hope so.
I still think Madness Spray sees way more play than this card.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, specifically right now, because there's, like, all these graveyard... Scroungers and Champion of Wits and shit. But once those are gone...
there's definitely been... Yeah, I mean, we've definitely talked about, I would say, close to a dozen cards that we, I think, unanimously agree that they will be good, you know, in 6 months.
Yeah, they at least have the potential to do something then.
Yeah, definitely. I would say there's more than, you know, the 10 or 12 that we've just all agreed, like, yeah, look, you can't do this right now because of, you know, XY cards or whatever.
Yeah.
But moving forward, you know, good abilities on good cards do eventually stand out, so.
Yep. Siege Gang Commander, we know this one. 3RR for a 2/2 ETB, make 3 1/1 Goblin tokens. 1R, sack a Goblin, deal 2 damage to anything.
Yeah. If anybody's playing with this card, you know it's
every time it's been
great.
printed, it's been fantastic. It is an unbeatable limited bomb and played in every standard environment that it was in.
Yes, agree on all counts.
And only half of those formats had Goblin synergies. The rest were just straight up playing it for the army in a can.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of falls into the once you don't have Glorybringer, what do you do?
Yeah,
and there it is.
It might even compete for some of those slots.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Maybe even chop them up, or it really just depends on what you're doing, obviously.
And obviously. Most obviously is you play War Chief on 3 and this on 4.
Yeah. Or, yeah.
Like the Goblin, the Goblin synergy is not nothing for this environment.
Right. I mean, the Prospector.
Yes, Prospector, another card that saw a ton of tribal play, was in the dominant Legacy Goblin deck for many years, along with Siege Gang.
Bidding.
Was busted in bidding in Standard.
Yeah, I mean, of course, like, you know, there was definitely the point in time where you played bidding and you got back all of these cards where you could just start bidding them and, like... And the other card that is noticeably missing is Goblin Piledriver, which is the one that just really put it over the fucking top.
Yeah, but...
Yeah,
Pile
of
driver
course.
was.
We all understand why we can't have a Goblin pile driver.
Yeah, it was a little much.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely don't want to. Like, they made that mistake before. They're like, we put Skirk Prospector, Goblin Warchief, Goblin Pile Driver, and Siege Commander in the same standard format. We fucked up. We understand.
Yeah, maybe
We don't wanna
one
do
of
that
those
again.
should have waited.
Yeah.
At least there's no Sledder.
Sledder was also
Oh, that's
filthy.
fair. Well, I guess to be fair, there is no skull. Oh yeah, someone literally just typed that. There is no skull clamp.
Skull Clamp or Ringleader, like there's not the
Yeah.
there's not the huge top end. Recruiter, none of that shit.
Oh, you killed all my shit bidding. Oh, you killed all my shit ringleader.
yeah.
Oh, you killed all my shit CGN commander. Like,
Yeah,
LOL.
Power Driver was just reprinted in Origins. and that's-
Origins. Yeah, I was trying to specifically reference to having all of these cards in standard.
Yeah,
again,
Pile
which I
Driver
think
was
would
totally
be
safe to
interesting.
print because it wasn't alongside the rest of these things.
Right.
Yes.
Although it is worth notating, this was one of the few cards that I was aware of was Goblin Warchief, which then I was speaking to a friend of mine named George Tudor, and we were like, based upon that information, now we're gonna have Goblin Warchief in Modern for the first time, which
Right.
could definitely kind of wreak some havoc there. And he's like, I think I'm just gonna buy up some pile drivers, which I regrettably did not do, and they went from like a quarter to like multiple dollars. So congratulations to him or
Sick
whatever.
read,
But
sick read.
yeah, I mean it's definitely worth noting for the Magic players, which apparently is fucking everyone but me. That be prepared to get pile drivered. It's coming.
Prospector also is making its first appearance.
Yes,
in,
exactly.
Yep.
Totally valid there. Also, yeah.
And the Goblins decks that are like fringe now are like fine. Like the Dragon Fodder, they play like 4 bolts, 4 Goblin grenades, and then the rest are like Goblin token producers and pumpers. It plays
Sure.
like the both bushwhackers and a bunch of token makers, and just kills you that way.
Okay.
And these cards like not only increase the power level significantly, but also give it a fresh new angle of attack.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Skizzik, another reprint.
Neat.
3R for a 5/3 trample haste, sacrifice it, or you can kick it for an additional R and you won't have to sack it.
Was this a rare in Invasion, Gindy?
It was,
Yes.
in fact, a rare in Invasion.
Okay.
It wasn't good then. It's not probably going to be
not
good now.
No, it saw fringe play, and it will probably see fringe play this time too. I think that this is another one that's just like you have Chandra and Glorybringer. You're not putting these in your deck.
Yeah,
Well,
and if you don't want those cards, you want Siege Gang Commander.
Yeah,
And then if you
exactly.
don't want that card, you're not playing
The
red.
competition is just way too high.
Yeah.
Not only are we talking about the competition being way too high, but like the answers are just there with like a Braid and Lightning Strike. And,
Yeah.
Oh yeah. God, that would feel awful to commit 5 mana and just get like abraded.
Truth. Squee the Immortal. 1
Neat.
RR for a 2/1. You can cast it from your graveyard or from exile. I love this card because it is a callback to Squee without being the card Squee. So the problem with Squee Goblin-Abob was that like the
It's
flavor of
too
it was
fucking
that
good.
Squee like always got out of danger, right? He was like on the Weatherlight with the rest of the crew, and they always thought that he died, but he always somehow escaped unscathed, or like
Yep.
came back and was like, "Hey guys, what did I miss?" When they were all like crying because he exploded. The problem with that design was that you never cast it. You never used the card as the card. All you did was use the graveyard ability.
Yeah, you basically use it as a Zodiac Dragon or whatever.
Yeah, and that's you like solitary confinement locked people with it and shit.
Yep.
Like, so this is, reminiscent of that effect, but you have to fucking use the card. You have to use the creature.
Yeah, you're casting it. You're not just getting it back for free to continually use as a resource.
Right.
To discarding. It is also nice that it actually has enough power to be relevant this time.
Yeah, it's not
Obviously,
nothing.
They had to make it at least something if they're going to make you recast it. Like Goblins, especially Squee, is kind of a weak thing in the storyline. So
Yeah.
giving him the second power definitely makes it so it might see some fringe play.
Yep, agreed. I think that its main use is going to be like as a one-of in like modern dredge, as just another way to proc like prized amalgams and stuff, and then even if you get relic or ley lines, you can still cast it. As for modern, I don't know. That like even if you are abusing the ability, like your reward is a free 2/1 for 3. You know.
Yay.
Somebody said if it wasn't RR, it would make food chain slightly better. I think it works with food chain, doesn't it?
It does. He's saying you have to like cast it up.
Oh yeah, you have to have RR, I guess.
Oh, sure. That doesn't seem too problematic. 2-headed giant. 2 RR for a 4/4. Whenever it attacks, flip 2 coins. If both coins come up heads, it gains double strike. If both come up tails, it gains menace. So a quarter of the time, it has double strike. A quarter of the time, it has menace. And half the time, it's just a 4/4, right?
Your math does check out, yeah.
All right. I mean, I'm playing it in my draft deck, and I'm
Yep.
not playing it in my constructed deck.
All right.
All facts.
Moving right along.
Velda, Keeper of the Flame is a 3/2 for 2R. Legend.
Legend.
Important.
Legend. Relevant.
All those-
Relevant 3-drop legend.
Yep,
Okay.
all the cheap ones. Got to take note. The beginning of combat on your turn. For each aura and equipment attached to Velda, Keeper of the Flame, create a 3/1 red elemental creature token with trample and haste. Exile the tokens at the end step. So it makes spark lightnings for enchantments. This just goes in the theme deck with the Champion of the Flame and enchantments.
Yeah, we didn't really actually see that many enchantments, though, did we? We saw like
just
the one
the-
that
just
gives
the
them plus
one.
2/+1 and menace.
I think that's just the one we've seen.
That's it?
Yeah.
Huh. That's super awkward. I would have expected, like, with multiple cards relying upon, you know, auras, equipments, I would have expected at least, you know.
Well, there were
more
like 3
auras for this
equipments.
color. Yeah, weren't they rares, though?
Some
No,
of them.
There was at least one common one and a couple uncommon ones, but you know.
Let's see. Rare.
Rare.
There's a Jousting Lance is the common.
Okay.
Rare.
Short Sword? Short Sword's okay?
Common.
Yeah, there's 2 common ones. 3?
Common.
No, 2 common ones and 1 uncommon.
Uncommon.
Yeah, two common, 2 uncommon. 2 common, 2 uncommon.
And 3 rare. 4 rare.
A million rare.
3
yeah.
or 4 rare.
There we are.
I guess white will be the other place where auras would be. So, we'll see.
Sure. We shall see.
Varric's Bladewing. Rorix is dead, I believe.
Oh, wow.
2 RR. 4/4 legendary dragon. Flying. Kicker 3. If you kicked it, you get another 4/4 creature dragon with flying. Broodmate Dragon.
I guess you need a new Tim Ayton token there, Gindy, or no?
No, my terminating token's still fine.
I got
Relevant? Exactly relevant to this card?
Yeah, sort of. The problem with this card is same problem with all red 4-drops currently. Is it's fighting for prime real estate, and
Agreed.
even though this card is fantastic rate for both 4 and 7 mana, it's still just not good enough.
You know, as far as like what I don't think is unique to just us, but is definitely applicable to us, we should probably keep this in mind that there is probably an extra red deck, like as far as like when we have to play Unified Standard, because there's just been so many good red cards that we're just like, well, we can't play them over Chandra Glorybringer,
Yeah.
and I mean, you know, maybe there's just like a I don't know level.
Oh,
2
there almost
red deck
certainly
on.
It would be goblins, right?
Yeah, it would be goblins. Yes, it would be like there's goblins and then there's Hazarat red.
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah.
That's my understanding.
Yeah.
Thank God for limited sake this thing's mythic.
Yeah. No shit.
Broodmate Dragon was not okay.
Nope.
Not even a little. Not even a little.
And
Was not.
Broodmate saw a ton of
Ah, relevant. Yeah, can't be the
constructed
glory
play
bringer. I like that.
with oh yeah, the non-dragging clause.
It's a fucking dragon.
Yeah, so Broodmate was 3 and Jund, and this is one more, but only red, ugh, and has, you know, the split card, the alternate cast of just being able to run it out there on 4. So if you have Broodmate in your hand and you miss your 5th land drop, you just lose.
Yeah, I mean, that happened to me constantly, but never my opponent.
Yep, same. But this has an escape valve mode, which is always nice on those cards.
Sure.
Warcry Phoenix, 3R for a 2/2 flying haste. Whenever you attack with 3 or more creatures, you may pay 2R. If you do, return it from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped and attacking. Just not a good enough one of these effects for any
Yeah, I
format.
mean, yeah, there's literally another Phoenix that was just printed. Like, no.
Yeah, and Flame Wake Phoenix in Modern.
Yes, is just better than this spot, and yeah. All right then.
Warlord's Fury. Are creatures you control gain first strike until end of turn, draw a card. This is a very boss Sly type, boss red type card.
It's just a 1 mana cantrip.
Yeah.
Something that you can play, like, and probably enough people won't play, but you can just play in your deck as literally just 1 red, draw a card.
Yep.
Because it doesn't have targets, so you can cast it on turn 1.
And if you cast it on turn 4 after you played some creatures, then maybe you make their turn harder.
Oh yeah, you could play your first 3/1 haste guy that kicks, but like not kick it, and then also just like, oh, you're my first strike guys, and good luck with this.
Yep.
Yeah, just randomly get some free damage and draw a card.
And even if it costs 1 and draws a card, you should never really write off.
Essentially, yeah.
Wizard's Lightning, 2R, instant, uncommon, deal 3 damage to any target. This spell costs 2 less to cast if you control a wizard. So this is our Lightning Bolt.
Yep. This is one that a lot of people have seemed to be excited about, more so because of, I think, the possibility of being able to play 8 Lightning Bolts in Modern, because there's just so many accident wizards.
Like Lavamancer and shit.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Snapcaster, is he a wizard?
Yeah, precisely. Yeah, there's a bunch of those. Like, basically, if you remember the old Riptide Lab deck, like, is it like Vendilion Click's a wizard, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
there's just a bunch of those type cards that will just allow you to play 8 Lightning Bolts. I don't know that you really want to play 8 Lightning Bolts, but, like, I mean, that could be a thing you're in the market for. And we haven't gotten to blue yet, so we don't know if this is going to be, like,
yeah, so
holy
far
shit,
the wizards
powerhouse
have
in standard or
been
not. Yeah, lackluster, I guess, is probably...
not constructible, like exclusively non-constructible. So blue
Yeah,
would really bring it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, there was the 3 in a row that we saw, but even that wasn't, like, constructible, as you were saying. So.
Yeah. All right, that's all of red.
Yeah, so red, just the Wizard's Lightning. The last thing I want to point out is this is the only card that we've really seen that, like, Wizards matter for.
Yeah, the other ones were kind of incidental effects.
Correct. Like, this one is specifically, like, you need to have more wizards to make this card good.
Yeah, it goes from very good to not a playable rate.
Right.
In constructed is what you're saying. Obviously, unlimited.
Yeah, you're playing it unlimited 100%
windmilling
of the
this
time.
one. Yeah, windmilling this one. Feeling good about it. So.
Efficient on both accesses and limited. But, like, in constructed, you only want to be casting this for one. So, like, and in that case, it's just... But, like, it is the only card that has, like, really makes you want to have your deck packed full of wizards.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, so someone brought up that the red-blue, the 3-drop wizard that we talked about last time.
Yeah, the haste thing.
Yeah. So that could be...
That thing's okay.
Yeah, I think I may be well, I guess we'll get to blue, so I'll wait to make a blanket statement. But currently, I'm leaning towards fold, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and the only wizard I know of, like off the top of my head, is Soulscar Mage. That it works well with.
Baral and Champion of Wits. Did we confirm?
Sure.
Baral is. I'm not sure about Champion of Wits.
Let's check it out. It is a Naga wizard. Is that how you say that? Naga?
Naga,
Yeah,
yeah.
Naga wizard.
It's a snake person.
Yeah. So there it is. So we've got a handful there. You know, then the gold 3-drop, and I guess you probably just run the 1-drop because you just
the 1/2.
You want 1-drops in your aggro deck.
Yeah.
That probably is going to give you things like the Journey Mage is going to fall into shit I might want.
Yep.
All right, yeah, we'll get there, I guess. We're
Yep.
going black now.
Target or Blessing of Belzenlock. B
Sure.
instant. Target creature gets +2/+1 until end of turn. If it's legendary, it also gains lifelink. 1-mana tricks are great in limited and not constructible.
Yep,
Moving on.
pretty much. I'm
Grizzly
actually,
bear.
Black 1, Grizzly Bear. Next card.
Cabal Paladin. Wait, what is she? A human cleric. All right. Cabal
Yeah,
Paladin,
not-
3B for 4/2. Whenever you cast a historic spell, deal 2 damage to each opponent.
Okay.
Sucks you can't redirect this to Planeswalkers, but I guess it doesn't really matter in limited. Yeah, mediocre filler. Caligo Skin Witch, 1B for a 1/3 wizard. Black wizard. Just a 1/3 for 2, or kicker 3B enters the battlefield. If it was kicked, each opponent discards 2 cards. So this is like the is it Chronarch? But
Yeah.
it mind rots. Pretty
Yeah,
much-
I mean, probably fine.
Yeah, you're playing it in your
Good
black
card.
decks.
Yeah, good limited card, nothing to write home about, but something I would definitely play, like, get some tricks out of their hand late.
No,
Not anything
it is
or
no more
play
wealth.
constructive.
I'll say that.
Yeah, it's definitely no more.
Cast Downs. This is like the premium removal spell of the format. 1B instant, destroy target non-legendary creature. This is our Doomblade. This is the one that Wizards wants us to play in our constructed black decks because it is cheap and efficient, but has downside. So far, I think it's probably pretty good because the Legends have pretty much universally sucked so far, and we only have 2 colors left, 2.5 colors left. I guess 3 colors left. But they've not been great, and it's not like there's a bunch of Legends being played in Standard right now.
Not a ton. There's a few, but not.
There's a couple, but they're not the glory bringers.
No,
Yeah,
they're carry Zevs and stuff.
yeah. Or things that are just like, super not great to use removal spells on. Like
Hazoret's the only one you would want to kill, and you can't kill it.
right,
It wouldn't
Yeah.
kill it anyway.
You
yeah,
can-
any of the gods, obviously. Yeah.
I was gonna say you can kind of shoot down a Scarab God for.
So, I was reading to kind of go back maybe a card or two or whatever that we were talking about. I was reading over the Planeswalker damage redirection thing again because it still bugs me, I guess. And maybe I'm just reading it incorrectly. But it says that abilities that damage or prevent damage to target player have been changed to target player or Planeswalker.
Yeah.
However,
so what you're
the
reading?
amount is
what you're reading is an errata.
Right.
That's what they changed the old cards to.
Okay.
All those old cards say or Planeswalker, because
Right.
now they're printing these ones that don't say or Planeswalker.
Okay, so they're purposefully changing all cards prior to this set with the sole intent
it's
of
like-
being able to do this.
It's like 10,000 cards are being errata or something like that.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
think of
something
it like
like
this. Think of it like this: like Lava Spike now reads deal 3 damage to target player or Planeswalker.
Right. Yeah, that part totally made sense. I was just confused of why they did that.
So
but
that
if they
did
could
that
do
so
it
they can
just
make this.
right, exactly, just so that they could do, something else such as cards like Cabal Paladin or whatever, without them
Yeah.
having to
Yes. It is
redirected to Planeswalker. Okay, so that makes more
specifically
sense.
to open up design space and
Precisely. Yeah.
to increase the intuitiveness of to put on cards that they want to hit planeswalkers, to put the word planeswalker on there, so you don't have to just know that there's this rule that if you deal them damage, you can also deal that to their planeswalker. You know.
Right. Yeah. No, it totally makes sense for someone just coming in face value playing the game. I get it.
Yep, exactly. Chainer's Torment, 3B Saga. 1 and 2 are deal 2 damage to each opponent, and you gain 2 life, so Soul Feast. 3, create an XX Black Nightmare Horror creature token, where X is half your life total rounded up, and it deals X damage to you. So you Soul Feast them, and then just lose 2 of that life back, and half your life, and make a big thing?
Yes.
The only way I would want to play this is if they died when the second one went off. This is a 4-mana Soul Feast. If I have to wait for the third ability, then I'm not happy.
No,
Yeah.
not really.
Somebody in chat asking, did you guys talk about how they are getting rid of black lose life effects? I don't really know about that. You mean like paying life?
So I believe I read something about this a little while ago. I similar to you, I have not read the full, the full-blown update or whatever. But I did remember reading something that did say exactly that. That they were not going to say, like, you lose 4 life or whatever. It was just going to say, like, you take 4 damage. And, it's basically
Oh,
more of
sure,
like a-
sure. Yeah, who cares? That's just for readability, again,
Yes.
of intuitiveness of damage effects. Because if I have a
Yes.
thing that says prevent 3 damage, and then a thing that deals damage
says
to me,
Yeah,
just
lose
because
4
it
life.
has this slightly different wording, I can't healing salve it. They're just fixing that. That
100%.
makes total sense. Minimally viable product said was interesting is the general perception of vehicles is that they were underpowered and that vehicles wouldn't be played much in standard. And the general feeling is the same about legendaries in Dom. My guess is Wizards has set things up so that legendaries actually will end up much more playable than the general initial impression. I could be wrong, often am. I don't think... Okay, my problem with that block of text is the first assumption is false. Everybody
Yes.
that I know knew that vehicles were busted out the gate.
Yep.
The only people who didn't know that vehicles were busted were WotC, because they printed one that was so obviously overpowered that it had to be banned almost immediately.
Well, they also said they pushed that one specifically to be constructor playable. They also added extra lines of text to it because they thought maybe they won't play it.
Right.
Add a 2-mana 3/3 that was...
Yeah, the fact that they thought that, like, Aethersphere Harvester and Cultivator's Caravan and Heart of Kieran weren't good enough, so they had to really push one and make Smuggler's Copter, shows that they just had no idea. No clue. They were so far off on the power level of the cards. And that is, like, that is step 1 of a few, or step 3 maybe, of a few steps that led to play design existing. They fucked that up so royally that they had to completely change the way that their company works. So I disagree with the assumption that people thought vehicles weren't good and then they ended up being good. Everybody that I was talking to, all the competitive players whose articles I was reading, all of like the Hall of Famers and Pro Tour players, all realized how good they were off the bat.
I see that they're talking about, like, you could buy them all day, pre-order at $3 and stuff like that. I 100% agree that you could do that, simply because it was a theoretical idea. It was, we think this is going to be good,
well, it's
but
the people
we haven't played with any of these cards.
No, there's a disconnect there that is actually pretty pervasive and kind of frustrating to me, so I'm glad I get to talk about it. The players who are good enough at the game to know and in a position to see and talk about Smuggler's Copter and Heart of Kieran being too good are not the same people that are buying up those cards at $3 a pop.
That is also true.
The people that the financiers that try and speculate are ones that are not good enough at Magic to make correct assumptions often enough to have a 100% hit rate. But,
sure, I mean there are definitely groups of, you know, professional players and groups of financiers or whatever who obviously do work together, and
it's like extremely rare. It's mostly like I know of 1 or 2 pro players who buy cards for themselves and
yes.
Speculate on those. And if they're specking on a card, they buy like 10 of them. They're not buying enough to change the secondary market.
Right. So that is definitely a point I 1,000% agree on. So there was a couple of situations when I was still running Happy Viking with Joseph Crosby, and you know, we debated on specking on some cards, and when we wanted to do that, we understood that we couldn't just buy 10, 12, 30, you know, like, because that's just not enough. You know what I mean?
Your margins aren't good enough.
Right, exactly. Like, let's just say hypothetically we bought, let's use one we actually did do, which was Perilous Vault. So the night before the PT started, you know, we got information that there was a team that was obviously, you know, Owen, Turtenwald and company were going to play a Pearl Link Ancient Perilous Vault control deck. So we were like, okay, well, let's just buy those cards because they're very undercosted. They were like $1 or less for Pearl Lake Ancients and like $4, I think, for the Perilous Vaults. Now, we ended up buying, I think, Gindi, you might even remember this better than me because you guys actually physically handled them all. But there was like at least a 1K box of Perilous Vaults. You know what I mean? Like, and even then we were like, this may not have been enough, but we sunk, you know, 5K or whatever into Perilous Vaults. And then by the time that we got them all, it had gone up to $15 and then creeped back down to $12. So it was fine. You know, after paying all the fees and selling everything, we made a few $1,000s and it was great. But like, at the end of the day, like, what is that really? You know what I mean? Like,
no, so that story exemplifies exactly what I'm saying.
I agree.
You didn't do that. Owen and Channel Fireball did that, and you just got their information.
Right. That's exactly what I was trying to expand on, is that we were not the ones to do that, but, you know, there are situations where someone like me or someone like Happy Viking Games were, you know, using information from others, or
but you did it. You did it the day of. The thing that brought the conversation up was that no, these cards are underrated because you can pre-order them for $3.
Yes.
None of the Owen Turtenwalds and Louis Scott Vargases of the world are pre-ordering any of these cards.
Of course not.
So to use the principles of the secondary market to judge whether something is good or not is completely like fallacy. It has no basis in reality. What happens is the cards come out, the pros play the Pro Tour, then people find out what cards the pros played, and then those cards go up for people to buy them to play for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I 100% agree. That's
the number of pros that like spec on cards for real is single digits.
And I can get behind that, yeah.
It's
and even
very
then,
small numbers, yeah.
Yeah, even then it's not real spec.
When I was on the Pro Tour,
they're buying 6 play sets or something.
When I was on the Pro Tour, I spec'd on some cards with my friend for fun, and we literally bought like 20 copies of the card we were spec'ing on.
Yeah.
Because it was just a game to see if we could correctly predict the power level and metagame and stuff to see if these cards go up, right? It was never about the money. It was just about being right.
Right. Alright, guys, I'm actually going to bow out. It's kind of late for me.
Yeah, that's cool. We can actually stop here and do the rest of black and the other 2 colors next time.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Alright.
Sounds good to me.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Good night, boys.
Alright, guys.
I'll hang out for a second and talk to the chat a little more, but yeah, good night. See you, Gindi. See you, E.
Alright. Good night, guys.
Have a good night, guys.
All right. So yeah, hopefully that made sense. Minimally viable product. Sorry, I kind of like went on a real rant there, but that is something that I see all the time. What Toku said, Toku. I never know how to pronounce your name. So I wanted to get that out there. But yeah. You're welcome. Oh, I can see your... Oh, hey! It's the boss. You got like 6 name checks in today's stream, buddy. I can see the first point about vehicles regarding my second point are legendaries and Dom. Actually not as shitty as they seem. So I talked about this a little bit on the first episode of this. This is part 2 of a 3-part set review. The first time around, we went over the lands, the artifacts, the multicolored cards, and the colorless card, which was Karn. And I talked about it a lot then. Toku. Alright, that works. Yeah, Umpax. I saw Gendy yawn, and it made me yawn, and I was like, yeah, we're we're going down. In that, I talked a lot about the legends and what makes them playable. So I'm going to be posting those to YouTube once we do the 3rd set. So you can go back and watch the stream, or you can wait until it's on YouTube and watch it there. I'll tweet when I post them on YouTube. But the super, super short version is that there's an extra level of these legends being playable where you are playing them not for their text box at all, but for the fact that they're legendaries. So you're using them as like a 2-card combo with the legendary sorceries. And if that's the case, then literally all you care about is how cheap they are. And secondarily, how much how resilient they are. And only like a tertiary care about what they actually fucking do, right? What their text box is not what matters. So for those, the ones that are like 1 and 2 mana, I think there's a couple that cost 1 in standard, and then there's this thing at 2, and there's a couple at 1 in like green maybe. And those cards go up in value and increase the value of their on-color legendary sorceries, but their general playability beyond that is still pretty doubtful. And we talked about it a lot today too. There's sort of this baseline test in constructed formats, and right now the baseline test is like the Chandra Glorybringer test, where like if your thing costs 4 or more, it's basically unplayable, and if it costs less and just gets owned by those cards, it's probably unplayable. So you'll see a lot of cards like, where's the black-white one? This one. Like, this card looks good, right? A 4/4 Vig for 4, makes tokens, and can kill things if you go long. On the face, this card is playable. It's good. But in a world where you play this and they play Chandra or Glorybringer, I mean, you're not even playing the same game. Like, you've already lost, right? They've just, like, gained a full card and turn's worth of mana from you. So playing a card like this that seems good on its face is actually, like, actively hurting you. And for that reason, all of these ones that are like 3 mana 3/3s and 3 mana 2/2s and 4 mana 4/4s, like they're all just infinitely worse than they look. This one at least has haste, and we talked about that last time, but it's really about the baseline tests of what the cards are playing in the format, both on the front and back, right? The front being how you compare to them straight up, whether you would play X card or Y card, and how you match up against them, how this card would play against Y card. So those are things to look at. Did you talk about the buy a box promo setting a weird precedent? I tweeted about it when it was announced. We haven't talked about it on here. Maybe I'll remember to bring it up next time. The short version is I don't really care. I think that it is definitely a scary precedent, but I also think they're not stupid enough to, like, make a mana crypt again, you know? So, I think there's, there's a disbelief from the community, or a fear of the community, that WotC is going to do something with it that would be bad, and I don't think that WotC's even close to crossing that line. I think it's going to be like a $5 or $10 card for Commanders, which is exactly what they want it to be, which is totally fine, and that's all it'll be. You know, a $5 rebate for anybody who buys a box, so that Commander players can play with it. I don't think it's a huge deal. I don't think it's the sky falling, and I don't think that they're really going to push it, at least anytime soon. The legends are Size the Crew the Weatherlight, which is Crew 3 for a 4-mana equipment, right? It is great that what's her name can't, Jorah can't crew it. Jorah and Shauna can't crew it. Like, two of the actual legit pilots. Look, Jorah Weatherlight Captain. Oh, okay, she can do it. Who's the one that can't do it? It's Shauna, right? No, she can theoretically do it. Rona. Rona? I don't know. I remember last time laughing that there was one that, like, should be able to do it and couldn't. But the rest can. I think the Weatherlight just sucks, though, right? Slimefoot can't. Well, he's a stowaway. He shouldn't be able to fly it. I do like that card, and I do like that theme. I'm excited to see the rest. We have sort of 2.5, almost 3 whole colors to go, because there's a lot of stuff that, going backwards like this, we've seen the groundwork laid for, and we have to see the rest of the shell filled out, and that's what these colors are supposed to provide. So there's a lot for us to be looking to when we look at these colors, so I'm looking forward to that. Hell yeah. Oh yeah, it's probably a pack one, pick one. I'm talking about constructed. I don't think it's constructible. At least not until rotation. But we said that about a ton of cards. Like, the sets that are in standard right now are just busted as hell. Like, they're just poorly developed, right? Like, there's like 11 cards banned in standard. It's like, clearly they didn't expect this sort of power jump. So until that shit rotates, a lot of these cards are boxed out. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. I don't know. I'll have to talk it over with them, see what their schedule is to do the last part. But it should be, you know, this week sometime, Wednesday or Thursday, something like that. And then I'll put them all on YouTube once they're all out. But we should be done before the pre-release, right? That's this weekend, so don't worry. We'll finish in time for that, so you can study up. Yep, you're very welcome. Yeah, exactly. A braid. Imagine playing this thing with a braid around. Like, every deck having 4 braid, and you're like, maybe if I play this thing, and tap a thing, and attack, and it doesn't, you know, get killed or blocked or countered, and it hits them, then I get to search it, then I get to draw an extra card. And it's like, dude, they abraded it 2 turns ago. What are you talking about? They're already up 2 mana. The game's moved on. Alright, good night, everybody. See you next time.